Sorry, it probably looks really weird when I'm like adjusting and stuff, but it's because I literally, okay, the lighting was really bad before because like my windows or my blinds were open, and I thought like, oh, that's good lighting, it's fine, and oh god, this bra is so fucking uncomfortable. Hold on. Oh fuck, the pause button is so low. Okay, so basically, I can do it on camera, like as long as there's no nip slips, like I can just like, hold on. This is probably really weird. I'm just gonna keep talking because, like, you know what? Whatever. Okay, this is okay. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well. Okay. So like, millennials, like, where was my train of thought? We're so good. Okay. But like, we're addicted to like the feeling of dopamine and we don't even realize it because like we're just so used to technology, like it's so embedded into us, like we've had it since birth. And our parents don't understand, like, because they've been like raised a certain like social way and then they hit the technological standpoint where it became like popular or whatever. But, and then they were raised from then on. But like millennials like me, like have been like raised entirely with technology. Like they've never known anything different. Like they've always had like this other option as a way to connect with people. But like when you're connecting virtually, you're not really connecting with someone. You're just kind of like talking with them. But you're not actually like having like the real conversations, like, you know? And then there's like social media where like the dopamine with the attention and everything. And then also, like, I didn't even realize it, but, like, he was talking about how millennials, a lot of them were raised, like, a certain way with their parents, too, with, like, they were told they were special, that they, like, needed, like, this or whatever, and then they were, like, they could do whatever they want in life, they could have anything, like, we even got like little like participation awards and stuff, and like a lot of parents like would like sometimes like they would like fight for like their kids, which is fine, like you're showing your love, but like there is a point when your kid has to be independent, like your kid can't be like dependent, and I think it should start young. Like it should start with like, go brush your teeth, like you need to brush your teeth by yourself, like I'm not gonna brush your teeth for you. Like, obviously, you're going to do it when they're a baby and they can't do it themselves. But, like, you should have them brush their teeth at, like, a certain age. Like, you know, like, alone by themselves. Like, I mean, I get it. Kids get scared and stuff. But, like, you should, like, not baby them. Which I feel like a lot of us millennials are very sheltered. Because we were raised by our parents. Most of us were this certain way. Which a lot of it, I think, had to do with, like, media being a big thing, and they were all talking about, like, all of this and stuff, and then also, like, I remember my mom had, like, a lot of, like, self-help, or, like, help your kid, like, grow a certain way kind of books, like, all over the house, like, especially when I was younger, before she, like, started to, like, mentally deteriorate, but, like, but, like, I feel like a lot of people were, like, raised a certain way because, like, the parents were told to treat their kids a certain way or whatever. And so, like, we've always kind of been, like, we're special, like, we're important, like, we're so good. And, like, no one ever really told us differently because, like, even this, like, education system is like that, too. And we're all about building up people, you know? Not, like, tearing them down or letting them, like, have reality, like... And then it doesn't help with, like, social media and everything. Like, a lot of it is, like, fake. And, like, we have all these, like, unrealistic expectations because of social media. And, like, yeah, like, basically, I think I made my point across with that one. But because of that, like, when we do get our reality check, we have, like, self-esteem issues because, like, we're so used to being told, oh, yes, you're important. Like, you're going to be, like, the president someday. Like, you're going to do this. You're going to do that. Like, you're so good. Or a lot of people were, like, want the best for their kids, so they're telling their kids, like, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, like, I want the best for you because you have the potential to be this, because you're so important, like, I can see you doing great things, as we have all these, like, ideals about ourselves because we were raised with this, and then it doesn't help that, like, social media, like, is, like, and just, like, virtual reality has just been, like, impacting our lives, like how I mentioned before a little bit in the last video, and, so, like, because of that, like, when we do have a reality check or when we get, like, bullied or something, like, we're so used to being told, like, oh, you're great, that anytime someone says, oh, you're not great, like, it hits us 10 times harder than it would someone who was born with being, like, being, like, reality, like, with, like, true, like, facts, not, like, the bias, oh, I love you, you're gonna do great, kind of, like, reaction that, like, most of millennials' parents, like, did. And so, like, when we, anytime we get any negativity, like, it hits us 10 times harder than it would someone who's not millennial and who was, like, raised with both negativity and positivity. And since we were raised with only positivity and we're kind of sheltered, like, throughout our entire childhood, like, any negativity, like, affects us more than it would someone who's been raised with both negativity and positivity. And so that's why we have, like, a lot of people who are, like, introverts, because, like, they prefer, like, because, like, there's so much negativity out there, like, they prefer to, like, be alone in their own little space and, like, be filled with their, like, little positive, like, self-thoughts or whatever, and, like, build their self-esteem and be all confident again or whatever, and they don't, like, going out in the real world and, like, dealing with all that negativity and stuff. And that's why we're so sensitive and why a lot of people, like, they just can't handle it because they weren't raised to cope. Like, we weren't taught to cope with negativity. We were just kind of like, I remember my mom, a lot of times my mom would just kind of be like, yeah, just brush it off, sweetie. Like, what they say can't affect you. Like, it's okay. Like, it's just words. Like, and a bunch of other stuff. And it was just kind of, like, advice. And it wasn't really, like, teaching you how to, like, actually handle, like, how to, like, deal with, like, negativity. And, like, especially when you're, like, going, they're, like, your whole childhood, you're fed positivity, and then all of a sudden you get, like, negativity, and you're just like, what is this foreign thing? Like, why is it affecting me so much? Like, what is this? And, like, you don't know how to handle it, and your parents are so, like, they're used to it because, like, they were raised with both negativity and positivity, so they don't really know how to, like, tell you how to deal with it because they were raised with it, so, like, they're used to it. And so they're just kind of like, yeah, just, like, then, like, little half-assed, like, understandable comments, and you're just kind of like, what? And so, like, I think that's why we're so sensitive, too. And then some people, like, they literally can't, like, do it. And so they, like, just commit suicide. And that's why suicide and depression rates are so high. That's why anxiety is so high, like, because we're told, like, oh, this will fix you. Like, this medicine will fix you. Like, this, with this. When it's, like, it's not that. It's, like, we have to start when we're younger. Like, we have to, like, teach ourselves. Like, we can't just, like, have, like, something come to us and, like, let it be there. And, like, miracle thing. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Like, it's not something that can happen. Like, that. Like, you know, like, I can't snap because, like, I have fat sausage fingers, but, like, you get the point. And I think that's why our self-esteem is so bad. And, yeah, and I think that's why self-deprecative humor is kind of, like, popular now, because, like, a lot of us millennials, like, we have, like, very self-esteem issues, but then we also want to be accepted, and blah, 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 dopamine, and, like, so it's all kind of like, oh, look at us, our self-deprecative humor, like, oh my god, you agree with me? Like, wow, let's be self-deprecative together, like, you know? Like, it's like that, and I'm guilty of this, too, because I'm a millennial. Like, literally all of what I'm talking about, I'm, like, not bashing anyone, because literally I am all of these things, so, like, and I think that's why, like, this whole world is always getting offended, too, because, like, we're just so raised with, like, positivity, and then negativity, and then we're just kind of, like, we rebel against it, and, like, we get offended, and, like, we're just, like, no, actually, and then, so, like, that's part of it, too, and, like, all of this stuff, and I didn't even realize it, because it's so subconscious, until I heard this guy talk about it, and I was like, holy shit, he's right. And so, like, now I'm talking about it because this is my platform to talk to people. Even though literally, like, only, like, maybe 10 people watch me and they're all friends. So, wow. Not that I expect to go far, because, like, hello, I am me. And then another thing he talked about was, like, he said that technology isn't, like, necessarily bad. It's just that the imbalance of technology is bad, because, like, technology is very useful. Like, for me, like, it's very useful because, like, I use it, like, as a platform to, like, talk to people. Like, it's very, like, important. Like, because, like, I've met people online, like, YouTubers, Instagrammers, who are just, like, so, like, inspirational, and they, like, get their message across. And because of, like, the virtual world, like, you can get the message across, like, to billions of people, because there are billions of people all around the world. And it's just faster, convenient, like, all of this. And it's great. Like, it's amazing. Technology is amazing. But at the same time, there are negativities to it if we, like, use it too much. And if we're exposed to it too much. Which is what happened to millennials. Because the parents, or, like, the grandparents, or the guardians, or the people who weren't millennials before, who weren't raised with technology, they were just kind of like, oh, this is a new, cool thing. Like, wow, look at this. And, but then, like, we were just, like, always having it. Like, it was always there. Like, we just, like, always knew about it. And, like, we were always, like, with it. Like, we were always, like, it was always in our lives. So we don't know anything else. Like, we don't know anything other than technology. And, like, it's kind of, like, okay, because, like, that way, like, we know, like, we have kind of, like, our own little world, which is kind of cool in its own sense. But at the same time, like, we're so sheltered in our own little world. And, it's a speaking platform, but at the same time, it's kind of like a hideout. I know this myself, because anytime, like, I have any social, like, problems or anything, like, I go to my phone. Like, I go to my phone all the time, just to, like, avoid, like, social interactions that I don't feel comfortable with, like, all the time, or just to, like, time kill, just because, like, I'm bored right now, like, I need something to distract myself, like, oh, look at this, like, I basically have, like, this thing that, like, does everything in my pocket. And it's great in the sense that, like, you can use it to talk to people. Like, you can talk to people, like, instantaneously. Like, you can get stuff instantaneously. And it's great for convenience, and it's great for that kind of stuff. And then it's also, like, a great speaking platform. But then there's also the convenience aspect of it is kind of bad, because, like, now we're so impatient. We're so, like, ready for everything to be, like, instantaneous. Like, we're so used to everything being instantaneous. And we're so, like, wishy-washy. And, like, that's another thing about millennials that, like, a lot of people talk about is bad about them, is, like, they give up too much. Well, we're raised to give up too much, because we don't know any different, because we're so used to everything coming instantaneously. Like, even the videos, like, on Instagram, like, they have, like, cooking videos or whatever, and they literally, like, what could be, like, 2-hour-long cooking, like, process, like, they literally show us in, like, 30 seconds. Our attention span is so short because we're so used to everything coming instantaneously. And we're so impatient for anything to come instantaneously. So, like, that's why a lot of and we have such, like, high expectations of ourselves, because we were raised to have high expectations of ourselves. And, so, like, those two combinations don't do well together, because you're in a new environment, or you're working, like, say you're at your first job or something, and you're dissatisfied because you're not as high up as you want to be, and you don't have the patience to just work and work and work and work. It's not that you don't have the dedication, it's just that you don't have the patience, because you're so used to everything coming to you. Like, you're so used to everything being instantaneous, because that's what you were raised with, like, your entire life. Like, you don't understand, like, how to wait. Like, we don't understand how to wait. Like, we're just so used to everything happening instantaneously, because, like, that's just what the technology does for us. And it's good in some ways, but then when you're so used to it, you have no idea what anything else is, it's bad. Because when you're exposed to the waiting and, like, the patience and stuff, we're just kind of like, what is this? Again, it's kind of like the negativity. It's kind of like, what is this? Like, I don't know how to react to this, so I'm just going to react like how I always do when stuff comes instantaneously. I'm just going to be impatient and be like, where is my thing? Like, I don't know where it is. Like, what is going on? Like, why aren't I here? I expect myself to be here because that's what I feel like I need to be at, but I can't because it's too slow. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, I want to be there, but I'm not there yet. Like, I'm impatient. Like, those two combinations do not work. Like, That's why we're so wishy-washy. That's why we always change our, like, degrees, and, like, that's why we always change our jobs, and, like, that's why we quit, and, like, that's why job finders don't want us, because they don't understand. And I get it, like, the work community, like, it's very, like, hard to, like, train someone from scratch. Not to mention, like, train their morals as well, because we're just so raised with screwed up morals because of our parents who are, like, told to teach us a certain way. And then also, like, the education system, and then there's also, like, technology, like, just, like, all of that together, like, our morals are all, like, screwed up, and, like, we don't understand, like, the patience and, like, the work ethic and, like, everything else, because we were just raised that way. Like, we've never been exposed to anything else until we, like, go into, like, communities and stuff, and, like, we realize, like, oh, but we don't realize because we don't know anything different. So it's kind of like, if you stuck a monkey, like, an Amazon monkey in the fucking, like, Arctic, like, it wouldn't know what to do with itself. Like, it would have to, like, learn from scratch. It would have to, like, learn everything. But, like, and if it's, like, and if it meets, like, some other animal that knows it and it, like, learns from that animal, then that's great. But, like, if we don't have other animals to learn from, like, we're just by ourselves in the Arctic, and we're just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Like, I've just got my, like, monkey stuff. Like, I don't know what to do in the Arctic. Like, that's kind of, like, how millennials are. And it's kind of like the other animals are, like, expecting us to be, like... And the other animals in the Arctic are just kind of, like, doing their own thing. So they're kind of, like, ignoring the monkey, being like, yeah, that monkey will figure it out. Like, it's fine. Because that's what they always known, because they're animals, and that's, like, their environment. They've always been exposed to that environment, so they don't, like, understand, like, how the monkey is feeling. So, like... Like, it's hard. And then also, like, monkeys don't know how to express themselves because, like, or, like, millennials. I'm sorry, I'm, like, switching between them. But, like, millennials don't know how to express themselves because, like, we've never really been, like, very social because we've always had, like, our phones or our technology as, like, a way to, like, express ourselves, but it's not really expressing yourself very well. And we don't really know how to be social. Like, we've never really, like, had that because we've always been with technology. And so, like... Yeah. And then, so, I don't know where I was going with that, but, like, so, my foot's asleep. My foot's asleep. Oh, my God. Woo! Foot's asleep. Foot's asleep. Woo! We're doing the dance of the foot's asleep. Oh, my God. I'm gonna fall. Yep. Okay, fall. Fell. Tripped. Whatever. What? Foot's still asleep. Ugh, stupid foot. Okay. But still, like, yeah, the business people don't know how to, like, treat us because they're just so used to, like, their thing, and then we don't know how to express ourselves because we've never really been taught to. And then, so that's kind of, like, how we millennials are. And it's not because we're, like, trying to be this way. Like, it's just how we were raised. And it's not their fault either because they were just kind of, like, going through the ropes. And they don't, like, realize the impact of, like, what it does to us. And then he said something about, like, how, because, like, we're so, like, impatient and we're so, like, want so much that, like, sometimes we'll just, like, give up early and just be like, yeah, whatever, it's fine, like, I'm fine. Like, this is good enough, like, I can't get farther than this, right? And, like, I relate to that a lot, because I do that a lot. Like, did you not watch my other movie? Like, I almost said movie, like, no. My last video where I was talking about, like, my piano story, and then also, like, the editing story where I'm just, like, I want to be an editor, but then because of what my uncle said, like, I'm nervous, because, like, what if I do exactly what I did with the piano? And that's, like, what so many people deal with, because, like, that's how we were raised with, like, that's how millennials think, because that's how we were raised to think. Like, that's just the impact of, technology has had on us, because that's all we know. And, And then we all like blame ourselves and stuff. And like blah blah. And then he said like the typical like restrict technology, blah blah, which yeah, I agree with in some parts. Obviously, like you're not gonna get rid of like technology altogether because like technology is just like such an innovative like source that like you can't like get rid of it, and like it's a great like thing. Like I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that like there are parts of it that are bad and that are affecting people like me and like making us so like different, and like we're so like reprimanded because like we're just so this way. But it's like it's because of like technology. Like it's not because like we chose to be this way. It's because of how we were raised and how technology has affected us as people. And so yeah, like he's just talking about how like there were so many like people who were like so like inspirational, or like he could see going so far, but they like put these limitations on themselves because like that's just how they saw it from like the perspective of like technology. It's really sad, and I like wish we could do something different about it, but like with how corrupt the government is right now and like I don't know, there are a lot of stuff that's like stopping like us from starting with ourselves and like helping ourselves, because as of right now like baby boomers are kind of like dying off, and they were like the biggest like generation so far, and like millennials are taking over, and like if this is how millennials are gonna be, like our fucking country is like in ruins, like if we don't fix ourselves, like and like all of humanity is ruined if like we don't like fix it. Like we need to do something, because like I don't want like the future kids of like us, because I've seen like 3-year-olds like on their smartphones, like so from the get-go like we're already being like they're already being like exposed even younger than I was being exposed to cell phones, and so that's gonna affect them even worse than it's affecting me, and that's like really like not okay, because like I'm already fucked up as a human, and I don't want to like have other kids be fucked up because of what technology does to you, like when you're exposed to it too much. Like it needs limitations, okay guys? Because like we're so like used to technology as like an outlet, or like a distraction, that we don't know how to like really like expose ourselves and like be like true like people, and like socialize and like build relationships, because we're just so used to like our like virtual ones, and we're so used to like our virtual reality, and like it's just really sad, and like we need to fix it, and like there are ways to fix it. Like it needs to start with technology, but people are just like, it's so convenient, I don't want to get rid of it. Like I don't want to limit it. Like, and with how bad it is, like we would need to limit it globally, and like we all know how fucking like bad the government is, and like how we don't get along, and like, and there are so many other problems too. But like if we just start with America and then work through our shit, and then like set that as an example for other countries, maybe that's how we can make a difference. Because America is all about like helping other countries, like making them better, because we're such a good country, but like we're really not. Like there are some like fucked up parts of us that like we need to fix, but we're kind of just ignoring, because we're like, oh, we're perfect, we're pristine, we're America. Like people like run from their countries to immigrate here, like we're the greatest, right guys? Like, oh my god, yes. And when like there are flaws, like every country has flaws, and we have some flaws, and we have like a global flaw, and I think America is like the worst with this global flaw, and it's technology and millennials and how it's influencing us, and we need to start with that, because that is how it's gonna like, because that is our future. Like how we are now, like that's just gonna like carry on and getting worse and worse and worse the more advanced technology gets, because the more advanced technology gets, the more convenient it is, the more easier it is, the more accessible it is, and it's just gonna make like so much like it's just gonna get worse and worse unless we start with that, and then we go on to the bigger issues in life. Because we need to start with our future before we start with our past and present. Because our future is what's going to hold us. Like, guys, like, you might want to start there. But like I said, like, the government is just, like, so fucked up right now, so I don't really see that happening anytime soon. And then there's also, like, the other countries, like the Middle East, and then, like, I don't know, like, other countries that are, like, poorer, and, like, they have, like, a lot, like, they need to, like, I don't know, like, but I mean, like, we need to start with our country first, and, like, set the example, before we, like, fucking, like, move on to other countries, because, like, you can't help others before you help yourself, and that's, like, applies to everything, including our country, and our country is, like, kind of treated as a joke right now, like, and, like, we need to fix that, like, we need to get Trump out of office, we need to get all this, like, shit that he's, like, fucking destroying out, and, like, fix our government, but, like, it's Kennedy hearing, so that's great, but we, the people, have a power to do that, but, like, we, the people, are kind of, like, a little fucked up ourselves because of technology, and, like, we need to start with that, but it's kind of hard to start with that when when the government is fucked up too, like, it's just, like, it's a lot. I think we advanced way too soon for us to be able to, like, cope, and there are multiple examples of history of advancing too fast is, like, bad, because, like, there are examples of, like, just organisms, like, let's just start with ecosystems. Like, organisms, if they, like, are too much, like, they screw up the entire ecosystem, or they screw up their entire species, and then they die off. Like, that's literally what's happening with us, because we're just being too stupid and, like, trying to, like, expand more than we can handle. Like, what's that saying, the too much on my plate or something like that? Like, don't take more than you can eat. Like, don't chew more than you can... don't eat more than you can chew. Like, really, like, we should really take that into consideration before we continue expanding and stuff. Like, we need to work on our shit before we expand more. You know what I mean? And I don't know. There's just so much that we need to do. But, like, it all starts with technology. And people aren't just seeing... People aren't seeing that because, like, they're just so used to technology. They're just so used to being, like, a convenient, like, little tool for them. But it's not becoming a tool. It's an addiction now. And it's, like, screwing up, like, our future lives. Like, it's screwing up our future. And, like, it's just, like, we need to fix that. But, like, people are so, like, obsessed with, like, how technology is, like, expanding us and, like, improving us, that, like, we don't see the flaws it's having on us. The havoc it's causing inside. And yeah, so yeah, that's it. That was my little spiel. Hope you enjoyed. If not, then bye. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna bye now. Wow, you're so good at English. Wow. Okay. Bye.